Now, last night was election night in Texas. A lot of primaries that were going on, Republican and Democratic primaries. And look, I think primaries are the most important elections besides the general because, look, for a lot of the people that are ambivalent about voting, they're like, oh, we don't like our choices. Well, if you don't like the choices in the general election, then that's why you vote in primaries. As I said, primaries are extremely important. And sadly, they're one of the elections that has the fewest turnout. However, that did change in Texas, at least when it comes to Democrats. Now, it turns out that Democrats had record turnout, had more people turn out, or had the largest numbers in more than a decade. So that is amazing. Now, more than 830,000 Democrats had voted, with ballots still being counted late into Tuesday. Now, that is the best showing in a midterm primary for Texas Democrats since 1 million voters turned out in 2002. So that is amazing. And of course, we have a lot of amazing candidates on the ballot in Texas. In fact, there were 7 Justice Democrats that were running. 5 of them actually won. Now, look, I know a lot of you might be skeptical of the Justice Democrats for the fallout that happened with Cenk Uygur, Kyle Kulinski. But Cenk Uygur and Kyle Kulinski are still big believers in the candidates for the Justice Democrats. And I have talked to several Justice Democrats here on the show. They're good people. They're great candidates. And the platform that they sign on for is incredibly progressive. So I think that's one reason. And look, if there are other progressive candidates that are equally as awesome that are not members of the Justice Democrats, so if you want to support them, awesome. Support them as well. But I want to give you some of the Justice Democrats that actually did win. Well, first, let's go through the list, right? 5 out of 7. Darnell Jones in Texas' 2nd District. He unfortunately lost. Then you also had in Texas 21st, Derek Crow that lost. However, there was Texas 12, where Vanessa Adia won uncontested. You also had Adrienne Bell in Texas's 14th district, winning her election. And then you have in Texas 26, Lindsey Fagan. Now, she won her election. Now, there are several other elections that are going to a runoff. Texas's 23rd, Rick Trevino, is heading to a runoff election. And then finally in Texas 7th, you have Laura Moser. She is heading to a runoff as well. So a runoff happens, of course, when the leader has less than 50%, and the person in second place is able to go to a runoff with the person that was in first place, as long as I said, they didn't have a plurality of the votes. So that's pretty good news. So you've got 2 candidates that are actually going into a runoff. Now, you may have heard of Laura Moser, because I've talked about her on the show before. She was the candidate that was actually attacked by the DCCC. Now, she's running in Houston. She actually moved from Washington to Houston to take on John Culberson. Now, Moser was attacked by the DCCC because they thought that she might be a weak candidate. Well, because she's progressive. Because she actually is, she signed on to be a Justice Democrat. She's actually got an endorsement from Our Revolution. That's Bernie Sanders' group. So she's very progressive. She's pushing for Medicare for all. She's pushing for a living wage and all that stuff. And so the DCCC is like, no, we can't do that. We can't have that. We actually need to go back and actually have these milquetoast corporate Democrats. We can't win in Texas unless we run a so-called moderate candidate. Well, we'll see what happens. But so far, Democratic voters are like, we're not exactly sure on the establishment candidate. We're going to go with at least give Laura Moser a chance. In fact, her fundraising ticked up after she was attacked by the DCCC. So now, one of the attacks they went against her, and this is amazing, right? The DCCC, this is the first time the DCCC conducted and then publicly released opposition research on a fellow Democrat. Now, this is after the DCCC told their candidates, oh, make sure don't attack Democrats, don't attack fellow Democrats, but you just attacked fellow Democrats to try to get this person out of the race. Hypocrisy? Now, not only that, but they actually took her out of context. There's a Washingtonian magazine article, which they took out of context, where she said she would rather have her teeth pulled out than live in rural Paris. Again, the DCCC said, hey, man, look, she had obviously, she's disgusted with Texas. She hates Texas. Why would you want to vote for her? She's also a Washington insider. I love how they use that attack when she's nothing, she's nothing of the sort. And also was doing, that she was corrupt. Oh, she was funneling campaign money into her husband, which actually runs Revolution or is a member of Revolution Messaging. That's Bernie Sanders' messaging group that he used during the campaign. Again, that's a consulting group that doesn't take corporate money, because Bernie Sanders' campaign didn't take corporate money. So, look, man, obviously these are terrible attacks meant to smear her, to try to get her out of the race. And it backfired. And it's awesome to see it backfire. So, look, I'm looking forward to seeing this runoff between Fletcher and Moser. It's going to be fascinating what the DNC does, or the DCCC does. But, look, this is just the start of a blue wave, which I hope will happen. But if you want it to happen, well, then get registered to vote. And then actually get out there and actually do it. That is the most important thing. Primaries, primaries, primaries. They absolutely matter. 100%. You got to get out there and you got to get involved in these primaries. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.